Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Quite simply, you know the answer to that, guys. I think it's the best fishing show for all-round fishing on YouTube, bar none. This episode is going to be taking you up to the West Midlands to Warwickshire, where we're going to hopefully be looking at the pellet feeder and, more important, how to fish it, and even more important, is it any good? We're going to go and find the right people. I know nothing about pellet feeder fishing. It's all new to me. And the other thing I don't know, will my head fit inside this huge bull shark's jaws that I caught? That's pretty scary. Oh, that's spooky. That is spooky. Yuck. Let's get down to the West Midlands and talk to Mel Storey. Mel Storey is a top matchman from years ago. He used to fish on the River Severn. He's a barbel specialist, and he was the man I needed to speak to. Now, Mel, it's good to see you again, and I like to see you in the seat of power here, right by the till. As a shopkeeper myself, that's where I always was. Now, we've driven all this way up, and we've heard about this, we're saying it's an extension of a sort of method feeder that you've got up here, and yes, you're hopefully going to tell us about it. You know, just run us basically how this sort of came about. This new feeder. I call it a new one. It's just
an extension, I suppose, for want of a better word, of the method feeder, where people use pellets. You know, these days, you know, and all they do is put the pellets into the feeder damp.
Yes.
And use a variety of baits on the hook. Particularly dead red maggots is a good bait to use. And we're going to send you to a fishery called Hawford.
Yes.
Which suits that particular venue as well. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it down there.
Yep.
And one of my staff here, who's an absolute expert at this type of fishing, he's going to be going down with you, and he'll probably talk you through that method better than I, because he does it week in, week out, and he's very successful at it.
So he doesn't work here much then? He's testing most of the time. He's testing products.
He works very hard, I've got to say, but he's absolutely exceptional at what he does, fishing wise.
Now, this feeder, would it be something for rivers really, or is it just a still for commercial fisheries in still waters?
I'd say that at this point in time it is really commercial waters that they use it on. That's where it's very successful.
Yeah, okay. Originated from what, matchman would it be? It comes from match fishing, do you think?
Yes, I would say so, yeah, would be, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Right, let's see who this gentleman is just going to give us this magic tips.
Yes. Right, this is Simon, assistant manager.
How's you, Simon?
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Simon will give you all the information that you need to know, particularly about this method of fishing. His exceptional results on the commercial fisheries. He's sort of wiped the floor with all these co-buddies in the clubs he's in. So
that's good, yeah.
He'll give you all the information.
He's the man at the moment. He's got the knowledge that our guys need to know.
Absolutely, yes.
Good man. Okay, well, let's have a look around your shop here, and you run us through it, Simon. Just tell us, you know, rods, reels, whatever they need for this type of fishing. You know, tell them, and it gives them a good idea. We've got plenty of rods here, Simon, so what would you recommend, say, beginner starting?
Starting rods, you can get them very little price these days. Anything from $19.99 right up to £100 plus. As much as you want to spend, you haven't got to spend that sort of money.
Yep. Length, what about the length of them?
Lengthwise, commercial fishery rods tend to be a lot shorter nowadays than traditional river fishing rods, because you're not trying to keep the line off the water.
Yes.
You know, as you fish a rod up high, as you're doing on your barbel features. The rod's kept down low, you're not casting long distances.
Yeah.
And when you play the fish with a shorter rod, the fish pop up closer towards you. If you're fishing a 13-foot rod, the fish tend to pop up a long way out.
Yeah.
So with a shorter rod, no casting distance, a lot of commercial fisheries, nice underarm throw to the island.
Easy to net when you have a stretch with a big
You've got
a
9, 10, 11-foot rod.
Yeah.
When you play the fish, when you come up to net him, he pops up a lot closer towards you.
Now, we're going to have a go quiver tipping today.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They have different tensions, these quiver tips, don't they?
Yes, they normally come in ounce ratings. They come in 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce mouse ratings.
Yeah.
Some rods only come with 1 tip, some come with 2 or 3. Different ratings to give you a choice what size feeder you want to use.
Now, we use those single tip ones. I don't know what make they were, the green ones, you know. But now I've seen one, I'm sure it was here last time I did one on the River Severn in Mel's other shop. It was a multi-tip that you just slot them on the top, do you?
Yes, you just push them in. Most of them are either carbon or solid glass tips.
Yes.
And you can just pop them in and out. If I get one out and show you.
So one assumes 3 ounce will be on a river, you know, stronger.
Yes.
1 ounce or so will be
on a commercial fishery. Yeah.
So this is what, 9 foot? Is it?
This one's
that's a short one. Yeah.
10 foot.
10 foot. Yeah.
10 foot Drennan puddle chucker.
Yeah.
That's one of the tips. That's a solid glass
I
tip.
see. Can you see that, Mike?
Just different strengths, and you just pop them in.
And in case I'm guessing this,
line the eyes up, and just different strengths for, like you say, different types of fish.
and where that red dip, what's that red for? I'm going to take a stab at this and say that's for fishing against a glare on the surface.
Yes.
So if you've got
different
really glaring
colours
on the water, that will stand out better than say a white tip.
Yes,
and vice versa if you have a dark background.
If you've got a dark background, white
tip. Yeah. Now as for reels, I'd love to own all of these reels, and that would update all my antique stock that I'm working on at the moment. Right. What would you suggest to go with that nice little rod? Because I like rods like that, and I assume you don't really want a big reel.
No, because you're not using thick line, you're not casting long distances. So a short, stubby, nice lightweight reel to couple with a lightweight rod.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've got either rear drag reels like this version.
Yeah.
Front drag reels.
So no, it's just personal preference.
It's just personal preference. Some people prefer different types of drag systems. Some prefer a bait runner, but obviously then you're going into big carp fishing, which you don't really need on commercials. You
don't need because you're watching the quiver tip all the time.
You're watching it. You're not leaving the rod.
You're going to lose a rod from what I hear. If you don't watch it, it's gone.
Yeah.
So there's no point, having bobbins and buzzers and all that. You're fishing with one rod, and you're actually physically going to not strike the fish, but you've got to watch that bite and react to it.
That's it. Yeah, you're not leaving it. You're not walking away from the rod.
You're fishing.
Sitting your fish in there, so you just don't need the bait runner system.
Line, what would you load that with?
Most of commercials, I would probably go for 6 to 8 pound. The size of the carp that you're fishing. You're not needing 10, 12, 15 pound line like you are with a big carp fishing. With, as you said, with the buzzers and that.
Well, now we don't on a totally awesome show. We don't ram line, we don't ram tackle. But I want to know what line you use, because Mal gave me some stuff called Stroff last time for hook links, and I've been very impressed with it. I've had it for a year. It's really good. So what would you do? The main, what are you going to put? Tell us what to put on that.
Personal choice. I'll still use Maxima.
I know, chameleon, is that?
Yeah. As a real line, because it's still got stretching.
Yes.
The Stroff that Malcolm gave you last year, it's brilliant as a hook link.
Yes.
It's tight. It's got all the stretch taken out of it. It's a low diameter line.
Yes.
That's no good on the reel.
Yeah, because it could shock a fish off.
It shocks it. With barbel, exactly the same as carp when they take off.
Yeah.
If you've got no shock, if everything's locked up, your reel's locked up, you're casting close to an island.
Bang.
It's gone. You lose everything.
Okay, so that's interesting.
It's a pre-stretched line, hook link line. Like Stroff, Silstar, line. You want that on your hook length.
Sure.
And you want a good stretchy line, traditional line. What
I
we
know,
call
I
a
used to use
traditional
Maxima.
line.
I'm old enough to remember it. I've probably still got some on my reels, but I used it was an old Maxima chameleon, about £5. I used to catch loads on it.
Yeah, that's it.
And I wouldn't say it's particularly abrasion resistant. That's what I found, but I found it soft and supple, and that's what you just confirmed. It's maybe that's why I caught all those fish, because it's springy.
Yeah,
it was forgiving. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's
Very
interesting to know. Now onto the terminal gear. This is what we want to see. We want to see the camera, this feeder, guys. This is something different. I've never even seen them before. Let's go and check it out. Well, now I see this new feeder, but it looks like a coal scuttle to me, like a little miniature coal scuttle. And this is what we've come up all the way. We've driven 2.5 hours to see these. Obviously, my local tackle shop would say, no, we've got those, but we've got the man that knows how to fish them. Tell us about them, Simon. Let's see what we can do with these.
Right. All the pellet feeder is an extension, or an add-on if you like, to the traditional method feeder, which is that. But unfortunately, a lot of commercial fisheries have banned this type of feeder.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. And then they came up with these pellet feeders. 2 different versions. They do an inline version and an elasticated version.
Yeah.
And the idea being, with a method feeder, you've got your ball of bait on there, ground bait, pellets, whichever you prefer, and your hook bait in the middle.
Yeah.
A carp can come up and he can attack this feeder from any angle. He can attack it from the front, the back, whichever he likes. With the new pellet feeder design,
yeah,
you scoop your pellets into it.
Yes.
Put your hook bait in the centre of it.
So it's on the front there.
It's on the front.
Yeah.
It's no use the carp attacking from the top, the sides. You can only get the pellets, which he's after, which he wants as his food. You can only get it from this angle. He's got to come
from one angle. Yes.
From round the front.
And he's going to be the bait's in his face, like a little mouse trap in a way, and he's got to go that way in.
trying to eliminate the carp being able to suck the bait off the method feeder.
I see.
Without getting hooked.
Yeah, yeah.
With this, it's doing away with three of the angles. Three of the angles you can't get in. You can only get the feed from the one angle.
Okay. Now you mentioned an elasticated version. How did that work as opposed to the new ones now?
Right, the difference between the inline and elasticated. The inline version, your main line, runs straight through, comes out the middle of the feeder.
Yeah.
You put a little stop on.
Like a bead or something.
A quick change bead, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can change different size hooks, different strength lines for different baits if you want to put a different hook bait on.
Yeah.
That goes up inside and you attach a short 3 or 4 inch hook length. So you can put your hook bait right into the middle.
Yeah. What would that be, the breaking strain of that little hook length there? What would you use for that?
A standard one, you're looking at 6, 7, 8 pound breaking strain.
Oh, decent. You don't have to go light. You don't have to go light then.
No. Because most of it, the same with the traditional method feeder, your hook bait, your line's lying across the bottom, your main line, and your hook bait and your hook's buried inside the feeder, so the fish can't see it anyway. It's not like pole fishing, where they can look up and see the line.
Yes.
They're looking down onto a murky bottom, muddy, silty bottom, so they can...
They can see it, yeah.
They can see it. With this that's lying.
Yeah.
And they're virtually camouflaged, the dark brown and green colours, they're camouflaged against the silt on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Fish can't see it.
And then, of course, the other thing is that if a fish does break off, which I hope it doesn't, it's free of that. Cause
with the inline version, that's the elasticated version. They're set up slightly different. It's got a small 2-inch piece of elastic in there.
Yes.
It's a nice shock absorber when you're playing the fish.
Yeah, so it comes out just so it comes out from the inside there.
Yeah, there's a little metal ring inside that one.
Yeah.
If you use the elasticated version, if you break off above the feeder,
yes,
the fish can become tethered to that.
Yes, I see.
If he picks it up after you've broke off, you've cast through some reeds, trees, broke off, lost the feeder. If the fish then comes up and takes it, obviously you can drag that round the lake and it's not very fish friendly.
Exactly, yeah.
So a lot of commercial fisheries state that you must use inline feeders.
Inline feeders, okay.
Yeah.
So Simon, I can see how it comes out, you know, your little hook length, say 3, 4, 5 inches like that. Do you tie an eyed hook on there, you know, or do you have like a separate whole hook link that you can buy as a rig? How does that work now?
Yeah, you can tie them yourself. You can buy the pellet bands.
Yes.
Eyed hooks, they use the knotless knot.
Oh yes, yeah.
Or you can buy them commercially already done. The right hook length, the right band, the right size hook, already done for you.
And that bait will be a pellet or what?
A pellet, normally a hard pellet. You can use dead maggots, you can use sweet corn, luncheon meat. Just something that stands out normally against the pellet.
Yeah.
A lot of pellet feeder fishing is done with 2mm, 4mm pellets in the feeder, maybe a 6 or 8mm pellet.
You just damp it to make it stick in the feeder?
Just damp to stick them inside the pellet feeder.
Yes.
And just a hard banded pellet on the hook.
Now, something struck me interesting there. You mentioned about dead maggots. Now, I've used dead maggots some years ago, so that must be coming full circle now. But tell me why? Why is that a viable hook bait now, a dead maggot as opposed to a live one?
Right. The quantities that you need in live maggots, and a lot of dead maggot fishing is done in the margins.
Yeah.
Done later on the afternoon, or if you're fishing a match, the last 2 or 3 hours of the match, that can come in the margins.
Yeah.
If you feed live maggots and you've been feeding them from the start of the match, they just bury themselves in the silt because they're working away. They can bury in the silt.
And where is this silt? How does that come about? Is it just mud on the bottom, or just because of high density of fish in there?
Yeah, a lot of fish in the waters, a lot of feed going in, obviously creates a lot of excrement.
In one end, out the other. So that's going to lay on the bed.
That lies on the bottom. If you feed live maggots that are riddling really fast as they are at this time of the year,
yes,
by the time you come to fish in the margins, they might have been eaten by the small fish, or they've just buried themselves in the silt because it's too soft.
The dead maggots is going to lay right on top. Visually, they can see them.
Yeah.
And one assumes they think they're dead maggots. Everybody's gone home. Is that the principle that they come in close? Why they do come in close?
Yeah.
And time-wise, if people have matches, they generally pack up. They might throw bait in. They might throw not. Is it better in the morning or is it better in the afternoon? There's a bit of reasoning behind it.
It's better in the afternoon. The last hour or two of any commercial fishery match is normally the best when the margins come alive, because the fish have got used to that time of day.
Yeah.
Everybody throwing the excess bait in,
I see.
So
Yes,
they start to feel safe on the afternoon.
So a matchman, in fact, not just pleasure anglers. If you were a matchman, you'd fish a 5-hour match. You might go 3 or 4 hours, maybe out in the middle of the fish are out there if it's bright, but you would even change and come in close on a match for the last hour. Is that good then? It could make it could be a match winner.
A lot of matches have won in the last hour.
Okay. Well, now you've got to show me how to put these hooks on, because with my specs, I need bloody binoculars. Never mind about glasses. You want to see some of these rubber bands he's talking about? Simon, I'm sorry, mate, but that's ridiculous. I've got my glasses on, and I can feel it, and I could barely see it against this white counter. I mean, it's so fine.
That's the idea. If you can't see it, the fish can't see it either.
And that is the little band you're talking about on the hook there.
Yeah, that's
what's
a
that?
band, yeah.
That's a 16 or something. Would that be?
Size 16 hook, 7 pound breaking strain line.
That's £7. That breaking. So I can't believe that's so fine.
Pre-stretched line.
And it's pre-stretched. So show us exactly how that band works, and obviously this little gadget here.
Right, this pellet bander, quick bander, whichever you want to call.
Yeah.
You just put the prongs in there.
Yeah.
Press the button with your thumb.
I see.
I press the
Slide your pellet in there.
Slide your pellet in.
Yes.
You grab a hold of the band and pull it out. Your pellet's left there on the band. I'll show you now how we mount the pellet on.
And this pellet size is, what size is that?
That's a 6mm carb low oil pellet. You just put the quick bander in.
Yeah.
Open the band up. Pop your pellet inside. The band goes round.
Yes.
And all you've got to do is hold the pellet and the band at the same time.
Yeah.
And extract that.
And that's on. And that'll stand up for good casting as well.
Oh, yes,
if you
will,
should
yeah.
cast.
That's your pellet mounted on the band.
And that's going to tuck just inside, so they can see it.
Yeah.
It's going to tuck inside the feeder.
That's it.
So as they come up this way, that's the first thing they're going to see on the front of the feeder, and the face of the other pellets.
As you throw the feeder in, a lot of the pellet feeders you'll see have got holes for the water to rush in.
Yes.
Once the water rushes in, you'll see this, if you could see underwater filming,
Yeah.
that when the smaller pellets fall away, your bait falls away with it.
I see.
So the carp, that's, as I said earlier, the carp can't attack there, that's no good to him. He has to come round the front.
Yep.
Picks up the smaller pellets, yours is right in the centre of them.
Right smack in there, brilliant. Now, these pellets here, which you've got there, to me, they seem, well, very light colour. What's that? What is that for?
They're low oil pellets. A lot of commercial fisheries ban high oil or halibut.
That's
pellets.
these ones. That's the ones I'm more used to.
old trout
It's
pellets,
dark.
yeah.
They're very, very dark.
Yeah, they're compressed oil.
Yes.
They're very hard, very compressed. Takes a long time to break down.
Yeah.
And commercial fisheries don't want that. Their fish are fished for virtually every day of the week.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the tons and tons of pellets that are used commercially all up and down the country, week in, week out, day in, day out.
Yeah.
And it kind of upset the balance of the fishery.
These are like a
Too much oil.
lightweight. They're sort of lightweight, not compressed, heavily compressed, so they can process this much easier. They break down in the water as well.
It breaks down easier. It's easier for the fish to digest.
Yeah.
Obviously, original old trout pellets there.
Yes.
For trout have got teeth. Carp haven't.
That's true. Never thought of that. Never thought of that.
They can't digest them right.
That's amazing, that. Somebody's been on a riverbank or a lake with too much time on their hands, and I'm glad they did, because that's a really handy little device, that is, no question of that. Now, you mentioned about those dead maggots.
Right, yeah.
I want to know, how do you kill the dead maggots? Do they colour them or flavour them or anything like that? And more important, how do you hook them? Do you use the bander? So 3 questions for you, Simon.
Right. You can use any type of maggot. You can use, a lot of people prefer fresh maggots. You can use older maggots.
Yep.
Freezing them, I find the best way to kill them.
Would you freeze them in bulk or at certain measurements?
Just certain measurements. If you try to freeze a big bag of maggots,
yes,
and you try to do it overnight, the centre of the maggots will still be alive. Because
really?
the cold's not got it, it's not penetrating them.
Yes.
A lot of people prefer a pint, maybe a couple of pints in a bag at
Maximum.
a time. Maximum.
Yep.
To freeze them.
And colouring, flavouring, anything like that? You don't
Flavouring, the big flavour at the moment is krill.
It's krill. So what is that, a powder you put in with them?
It's a powder, yeah. You can put liquids with them.
Yeah.
You can put different powders. People have got different ideas, but the big flavour at the moment is krill.
Krill. And colour of maggots, does that make any difference? Or?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
It's personal preference. It's.
And hooking them, that's our final tip. How would you hook them? Do they go in these bands or not? Is that?
No, they go straight on a standard hook.
Yeah, and
No
obviously being
hairing.
barbless, normally barbless, you always worry about the maggots going to wriggle off, and you put 3 maggots on, you end up with 1 or worse. None. But you know, if they're dead, they're dead. So they're on the hook. They stay on the hook.
They stay on, yeah.
Oh, brilliant, lovely. Okay, so next stop, fishery, and you reckon you're going to catch some for us, and we're going to catch some as well, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Simon, let's get cracking. That's enough fishing.
No
You guys have got all the tips there. Totally awesome tips, and I love this thing. Never even seen it before. Get arrested going down the street late at night, one of those, couldn't you? Let's go fishing. I better get out now because there's so much tackle in here. I might have to get my wallet out and buy something. I quite like that little short feeder rod too. Mal is a specialist at organising all the requirements the fisherman needs for his bait, and that includes, my God, an amazing amount of maggots. When he gets them delivered, they have to be riddled off. Now this is the automatic riddling machine, and that gets rid of all the rubbish and bits of sawdust and bits and pieces that come straight from the maggot farm. They're riddled off and then they're graded down into these great big trays, and yes, they might not look very nice, but boy, will they catch some fish for you. They certainly will. He has a reputation for providing absolute first top class quality bait, and that's why the anglers flock to his two shops. He's actually got one in Kidderminster and he's got another one in Halesowen, and they both specialise in providing maggots and a variety of baits, of course, for anglers. They keep them in a fridge room. You can get whatever you want, different colours. You can get white, you can get red, you can get pinks, you get bronze ones, which is my favourite, I must admit, bronze maggots. You can get mixtures, you can get pinks, whites, everything. And for barbel fishing, yes, my very, very favourite, it's the white maggot. And you can still see the black feed spots in these guys. Also, he runs off gallons and gallons and gallons of cast as the top chub bait. You couldn't want any better. Everything's chilled down. It's a real chill out store. All his staff at work in there are, yes, totally chilled out. Well, you would do in those temperatures. On top of that, he provides hemp as well for the match fishing circuit. It comes out of the Saxon seed and is boiled in a huge vat like a witch's cauldron, bubbling and frothing away there for about 1.5 hours. That splits the seed, splits the kernel wide open, and when you see that white seed showing like this, you can see little white dots on that. That's when it's cooked. That's when the hemp is deadly, particularly for barbel, lots of other fish. It's bagged up and made ready for the anglers, just kept fridged. You can go straight in and buy the bait.
Consider yourself a fisherman. Just how far do you want to take it? Subscribe to this channel for more awesome videos.
Right, we're here today at Orford Bridge Fisheries in Worcestershire. We've come to do the feature on the pellet feeder, continuing on from what we've done earlier in the shop. This is an inline pellet feeder, short hook length, as explained before in the shop. It's a quick change bead, just change the hook length. The pellet feeder runs freely up and down the line, which is nice and safe for the fish. Most commercial fisheries insist on using those inline types so the fish can't get tethered, as opposed to the elasticated type. This quick change bead, if you do lose the hook or the band snaps off, the pellet band, you can open this up, which I ain't going to be able to open it up, take the hook length off. You can change it if you want to use a different bait, bigger hook, stronger line. So if you lose the band, just loop it over the top, slide the buffer bead down, and that's it. Inline just stops the feeder running down to your hook length, and you've got a nice quick change if you need to. We're going to fish the pellet feeder on the gap in between. There's 3 islands in the pool, a very shallow gap in between the islands. Obviously it's a natural patrol route for the carp, coming in between the islands, nice shallow water for them. It's nice and warm today, and we're going to cast a pellet feeder over there and hopefully catch a few carp for the camera. Open up the band, put the pellet in, grab hold of the pellet and the band at the same time, pull, there you go, perfect banded pellet, right in the centre of the pellet. You can cast that with ease, with the confidence, knowing that ain't going to come off. That's on there nice and tight. And all we need to do now is load it up with the feed pellets, which have been dampened. These are 2mm micro pellets, been soaked in the water for a couple of minutes, drain the water off, nice and soft, they'll stick together nice and easily. I just scoop them up, put your thumb in, scoop them up, put your thumb in. So all it is, it's about 3/4 full now, the pellet feeder. Just put your hook pellet there, right in the centre. And all you need to do, grab a small amount of pellets, just to cover it. You don't want to squeeze it too hard because they won't come out in the water. And hopefully, when that hits the water, the water flows through the holes in the back of the feeder. They all come out, it's all nice and angled. All the feed pellets come out. Your hook bait falls out and your hook bait stuck there. There's all feed pellets round it. The carp come up, come in from the front of the feeder, pick the hook bait and the feed pellets up, and they're hooked.
With a pellet feeder explained to us and cast out by Simon. Smack on the money first cast. Well, you wouldn't believe this. I switched the camera off. It took a matter of seconds before he was straight into a fish.
I actually switched the camera off, getting ready to have a sandwich.
Right.
20 seconds, I should think that was out there.
Probably 20 seconds. First fish of the day. Don't fall off.
Now the other thing you mentioned earlier on is worth talking about now. While you're fighting this fish, if you squeeze it in too hard, it won't come out, but you can still get a false bite, you were saying, was that?
Yes.
In the feeder.
If you squeeze the pellets in too hard, obviously the carp will come up and he'll try to grab the pellets. You can see the pellets at the bottom of the feeder, but if you hook bait and your hook's still inside the feeder, he'll come up and take it, shake it, trying to get the pellets out, and you won't hook the fish. The tip will go around and you just won't hook it.
You just pick the whole feeder up then?
You'll just pick everything up, yeah. They're quite small feeders, not massive.
Yeah.
And obviously a decent sized carp, you can catch a carp 10-15 pound. They've got real big mouths on, they'll just pick up, take the feeder, take the lot, and that's it. Just try and grab this one.
And the answer is, does the pellet feeder work?
Yes.
We're doing the first 20 seconds.
20 seconds, if you can wait that long. If you can't wait that long, we can try a different method. That's the first fish of the day. Nice little common. Took about 20 seconds for the tip to go round. It's only about 2.5 pounds. Hopefully the start of better things to come and bigger fish today.
Oh, there we go, guys. The old tock reel ticking away there. Been using Simon's tips first cast, and I'm into my first fish.
How long? I don't want to tell people how long this was.
This must be 30-40 seconds, not even a minute, I'd say.
First cast, 40 seconds.
First cast, a couple of pellets just to start with.
How many? What, 2 pouchfuls of a dozen?
Yeah, three, probably two or three catapults.
People would honestly think that this is a pre-baited swim. It's all done specially for us as fishing show producers. Honest to God, it's not. There's other guys fishing around here. The truth is, first cast to Simon, fish on 30 seconds. Second cast for Mike. First cast for Michael in the second swim. I haven't even got fishing yet.
He's got digging away.
The one thing we're not used to are those tiny, tiny hooks.
Tiny, size 16.
16. That's a pretty small hook, really.
Nice bend in the rod, though.
Yeah, it is. Then the rod is Avon again,
Avon again.
just for a change, but it's got the quiver tip section
on there, which we use for the barbel. Going for the rushes, yeah?
No, he's just on the edge of this rush here that's falling out. I think he's through it.
I think he'll pull through that loose stuff.
He wants though.
He's digging, he knows where the snag is, doesn't he? Yeah.
Got a bit of rush with him.
Here goes the old talk.
He didn't.
TikTok, we're going to call that
TikTok.
one. We're calling this reel the TikTok.
He's gone again. He's got some energy, this one. Oh, he's getting right.
Watch his head shake. Bit of side strain.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Nice and steady. Match fishing tactics is almost really, isn't it? With those small hooks. So Simon, how big can you go with these hooks? Does it have to be that single one? Can you use a bigger hook and 2 or 3 pellets?
Yes, you can use a bigger hook if you want bigger hook baits. 8mm, 10mm pellet on the hook.
Yeah.
Single sweet corn, double sweet corn, big pieces of luncheon meat, anything
Oh,
you
you
want,
can
really.
use bigger bits of meat with the same method then?
Yes, just with the same method. It's a nice carp.
My first fish here at Orford Bridge. Oh, behave. Just getting up for you. On the pellet feeder within 30 seconds, I would say, not even a minute.
No, it was under a minute. It was under a minute.
Under a minute.
Guys, I've got one here. I don't know if you can see in the background. Mike's got one on as well at the same time. They're going absolutely crazy on this pellet feeder. You might just be able to see his line stretched out there. And I've got one and I've got a twig as well. I think mine's a little mirror. Lucky with this one, look, and a branch. Nice mirror, pretty little mirror. But listen, that was tangled up with me, so do you say we're branching out in the spawn? Or finally Graham's twigged it? Oh, come on, leave it alone. Look, he's not a big fish. He's not going to set the world alight. But he's my first pellet feeder caught carp. And I'm pleased with that. And a little tip, guys, the others don't know it because I've been filming them. Don't tell them. I've been feeding handfuls close into the margins. There are animals swimming in about a foot from the bank. I fully intend catching them, get a couple more out deep first, and I'm going to try and get one close into the margins. It's suicide here. Mike's getting bite after bite. He's getting so many bites he won't help his poor father net the fish or film them, so I've got it on a tripod at the moment. It's murder and mayhem. There you go, guys. They're getting bigger. But I've got a surprise coming in a minute. I feel sure there's a bigger one in the margins.
Good. Here's another quick tip. This is how we soak the pellets. Pour the dry feed pellets into a bait tub. Fill them with water out the lake. They're all nice covered. Give them a bit of swill round. You can leave them, most pellets, they reckon 1 minute per millimetre, so if there's a 2mm pellet, leave it for 2 minutes, leave them to soak, start to absorb the water. And after a couple of minutes, all you do is replace the lid on the bait box. And turn it upside down. All the air rolls, obviously intended for maggots, but and that's it. After a couple of minutes, once all the water's drained out, you'll have perfect pellets for your pellet feeder, and they'll all nice stick together. Straight away.
Simon straight onto another fish. I mean, I fished a lot of different commercial carp fisheries, just day ticket ones. You know, some of the carp are not in good condition, but here at Hawford they're really good condition fish. I don't know how they do it. I know they have a supplemental feed that Trevor, the owner, puts in there, and boy does it pay off. Look, you got nice carp, nice surroundings, more important, they bite. You can see my hook bait's just tucked in there with a covering of the smaller pellet. Squeeze it just gently, as Simon said. Did I say that? And I'm going to cast out, let it hit the water, put the tip up in the air on the rubber and see if you guys can see the bite, as it normally happens in the first 30 seconds. I was just looking through the lens end, guys, just so you know, trying to focus on the quiver tip so you could see when there was a bite. And as I was looking through the lens, I saw my rod coming off the rest. So it wasn't so much a bite as a total annihilation of the quiver tip. As usual, you've guessed it. The net up there, right? I tell you what, there's no excuse whatsoever for thinking this method doesn't work. Well, that was worth it, guys. If you could just see that take, wasn't even 30 seconds. And these old top 4000 reels, man, I like them. Look, nice and smooth, I like them. Mike's up there as well. Let me swing the camera. Mike's hooked up as well. Here we go, find the fish. Yeah, Mike's on. I'm going to stand in front and block the view so I get all the celebrity status here. Actually, it's getting me in the weeds. Still on, Mike? You still on, Mike?
Simon's on team.
Oh, we got a triple hook up. Simon's on the other side of Mike. That's 3 hooked up at the same time. I think the best thing to do now, zoom back, and as one guy who's full of his own lunchbox stuff said, watch the master in action. Well, you sound first with the net. Mine might be bigger. Mine might be fish of the day. Oh, you got a nice one there.
Yeah.
Simon's got us. The expert's got us. We got 2 landing nets and 3 anglers.
Too many fish on enough landing nets.
That's a nice fish too, isn't it, Simon, that one?
Yeah.
We'll keep them in your net if you can, Mike. We'll see if we can show the folks back home what the fishing's like. Oh yeah, in the net. But you know what? I think we can actually show you a real true triple header. Let's drag this guy down there with the camera. Hang on. No, I'm coming. Just so the folks back home know, we're not telling lies. There's rods everywhere. It's like a tackle shop here. It's like Mel's tackle shop when the shelf's fallen over. There we go, people, a triple header. And so I told Simon how to work that rig out. Look at that, beautiful. But he has got the biggest fish here. We're going to get still of that one, Mike, yeah?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's crazy fishing, 3 at once.
The old pellet feeder.
It works. We'll get our 2 back and we'll just get a quick still of this one. And just look at the head, shoulders and entire body and condition of this fish. It's in spanking condition. Nice fish to catch. Mike gets the photos. There we go. Beautiful Hawford carp. And there's more where that came from. It's a pretty deadly method, isn't it, that one, I must admit.
Yeah.
It is, definitely.
And in match fishing situations, it's obviously when you're trying to build big weights of smallish size, average size commercial fishery carp, it's deadly.
Yeah, yeah.
You can catch one of those every 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Would you put it on a par with pole fishing when you get them going, or is pole fishing still got the edge?
It has its day. It can be unbeatable at times, especially when you're faced with somewhere that's got an island that's out of pole reach.
Yes.
That's when your rod and line, whether it's the pellet waggler, pellet feeder, method feeder,
Casting.
the lead, yeah, because you can't reach it with a pole.
Yeah.
It's just out of range. So you can fish this. You could fish this for 2, 3, 4 hours of the match, then come into the margins the last hour and bag up there as well.
Yeah. Don't neglect any little feature you got at Hawford Fishery. You look at the end of these rushes, you can go along the side, you can go right into the bays, you've got weed beds sticking up, and look at the fish bubbling here. That is an absolute sure sign you need to get a bait in there, guys. Something big is bubbling on the bottom there. Cast towards the island points. These rushes are a perfect spot to just target. You know, the carp have got to go around the outside of these to move into the other bay, so it's a classic spot to start putting in that pellet feeder, build up your feed, get the swim going. Those carp will not take long to find it. Well, people, we are just piling them out on this pellet feeder. No question it works. But you know what? I've always been a close range fisherman, and I'll be doing what Simon says. Saying about that, isn't there? What Simon says. It's a song, was it? Little pinch of these mini pellets, the little dusty ones, and I'm throwing them no more than a foot out, and I forgot about them. Half an hour later, throw them in, forgot about them. Well, it's now 3:15, 6 or 8 guys have gone home. I think the carp are coming around sniffing because the reeds are bumping. I can see the rushes right in close here by my feet. I've been bumping while I've been feeder fishing out by the islands and in the channel there, and I've seen the occasional little swirl. When you see a swirl on the surface in, let's say, 2 feet of water like this, say 2 feet here, the carp's head's down here, he's digging for the bottom, and the big paddle of the tail is swirling on the top, and that's creating like a boil there. When that happens, I want to lower a bait down. But you know what? I'm going to wear my polaroids this time because I want to be able to see everything. It's coloured. I can see fish. Well, I know there's fish moving in there. I know there is. I'm going to put the head cam on, and I'm going to have to go on my hands and knees. I'm going to try and hook this fish. I can't even get there with the rod, it's so close. And I might just be able to tease the line in slowly like this, get it on my head cam, and then hook up like that by hand. I've never done this before. It's an experiment. Hey, it's totally awesome fishing. We've got to try it. That's where you got the hook up, guys. You wanted margin fishing, you got some totally awesome margin fishing then. Oh, it's a big fish too. It's a good fish, it's going to do me in the rushes over the other side. Right. Yeah. Where is he when you're always here? You want to see this take I got in the margins? It's unbelievable.
What is it?
I don't know, it might. I mean, it's going really mad. It might be one of the ghosts that Simon was talking about. Well, I'm pretty stuffed, guys, because I've got this tiny hook and he's digging and digging for the reeds. But at least you saw the hook up, even if I lose a fish. You can see how close these fish come into the margins. Oh, man, I've got a lot of pressure on for a tiny hook. How good is the top 4000 when you need it? Does it come up with the goods? Just don't go in the rushes. I can't afford to give it a second or two slack. But I'll tell you, Simon's tip about that Maxima line being very forgiving makes me wonder if this stuff I'm using, if there's no stretch in it with this pre-stretched hook link, I might be living dangerously. I might be. When the fish is close, you'll pop them. I don't like these small hooks. He's pretty well doing what he wants, you know. Ostrich, come on. Got him, got him. Oh, yes, please. Is that not one of the ghost carp? Let's get him on the mat. Have a look at this one. What a take. I tell you what, that was a heart stopper. Might be doing that again. What a beauty. Look at the colours in that. And that's why they call it ghost carp, because that very, very light colour. That is, as we say, a totally awesome fishing show, a crackerjack fish. And what a take I had. I thought my heart was going to stop. Well, you can only watch that sort of thing on the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Meanwhile, back there, the drags are singing on the old top 4,000. Mike's just piling away, must be on about his 10th fish now. Simon's up there, he's trying to catch a ghostie in the margins as well. So don't forget, late in the afternoon, 4 o'clock onwards, in the margins. And listen people, we were trying to make a film as well. I'm walking around marvelling at all the different features this little fishery has. It's not huge, it's just a variety or a complex of smallish lakes, but it's got islands, it's got bays, it's got reed beds, it's got overhanging bushes, it's got everything you need to target carp on the feeder.
Right, another tip, if you lose your feeders or run out of your feeders, one other way of keeping your swims, keep feeding that swim is one of these little, like a ground bait ball maker really. So all you do is you get your sort of sticky pellet, soft pellet in there, make sure that's level, get the top end, crush it, hard as you can like that, get the big end, pop, push a button there, there's a ball there, push a button there, and there you go. You can fire that out in a catapult and still feed that swim. One of these catapults here, or preferably a ground bait catapult, you can still feed your swim, you can switch over to a lead, still using the pellet again, these as your hook bait, but then you're still feeding that particular swim that you want to keep feeding. So if you run out of feeders or anything like that, one of these can be quite useful.
I didn't even get the chance to go around the other lakes. We got so many bites so quickly in the one swim. I say they weren't pre-baited for us. The fish are just there. You just have to turn up, use the right technique like the Mouse Stories pellet feeder system. Well, you catch fish or what?
Right, we're on to the last fish. That for a change, he's wanted to go and I'm wanting to stay.
There's a pub calling with a nice pint of cold beer.
But I can't stop this fishing. It's fishing probably number 15. It's the last fish of the day. The light's getting a bit poor for the filming now, so I'm gonna have to call it a day, sadly. But the method works. The pellet feeder. We've had a brilliant day. Thanks to Simon as well for helping us out. And let me just let this fish. It's a small one, but
they all count.
They all count.
What good fun. How many did you reckon you've had?
15 today, I think.
You've
That's
had
number 16 probably.
And we didn't start till...
Oh, we didn't start until
1:30 or something like that.
There we go, guys. Probably smallest fish of the day, but we've had some good sport. We've had some nice ghost carp as well. We're going to get this one back, hit the pub, and that's another episode of Totally Awesome Fishing for you guys.
Well, as Mike said, he was packing up. But that was Mike packing up, not me. I thought I'd have one more drop. I've just been filming a few scenics, and down in the margins here there were just big tails waggling in the margins, and I just lowered one of those pellets down there and just waited about a minute and it took off. Nice common. Here he comes, and this really must be the last fish of the day, because I've now spooked the rest of the show. There you go, guys, and as the comedians say years ago, which some of you might remember, might not, and it's good night from him and it's good night from me.